Okay, we're gonna go over the questions, the 3 questions about the string methods. So let's start with the question number 1. So question number 1, write a program that prompts the user to enter the full name and displays them separately. Of course, here we're assuming that there is no middle name, just the first and the last name. So the user will enter the full name, so we're gonna extract the first name and the last name, of course using the string methods. So we already have the scanner object created. So now let's prompt the user to enter the full name. Enter the full name. The user will enter both the first and last names. Let's save it. String full name scan that next line. Now, how can we separate the first name from the last name? So if you notice, there is an empty space between them. So if we can locate the position of that empty space, then we can easily separate them. So let's locate using the index of method. Remember, the index of method locates a specific character. In this case, it's the empty space. So let's create a variable. We're going to call it space. I'm going to put full name that index of empty space. This means whatever the first empty space is, give me the location. So that's going to save it. And then we're going to create first a variable for first name. So we're going to use the substring, because substring will return a type or part of the string from a specific index to an ending index. So in this case, we're going to have full name dot substring. So the first name starts from the beginning, which is 0, and then ends where the empty space is. We already saved that, and that space. So that's going to get us the first name. Now for the last name, we're going to start from space plus 1, because space is where the empty space is. Now we want to start after that. So that means we're going to put substring space plus 1. Now since we're not going to stop till the end, then there is no need to put the ending index. I mean, you can, if you want to, you can put something like this. Full name dot length, but it's unnecessary. Why? Because if you are going all the way to the end, you don't have to specify the ending index. So this, now it's time to display the information. The first name is first, and the last name is last. So let's test the program. We're going to build it, errors, and then run the program. So it's going to prompt us to enter the full name. So let's say David Gibson. So once I hit the enter key, say it's going to separate them. The first name is David and the last name is Gibson. So this is the first question. So let's move on to the second question. Second question, write a program that prompts the user to enter 2 names and displays the longest. So we already have the scanner. So now let's prompt the user to enter the names. So enter the first one. Enter first name. Save it. String name 1. So scan that next line. And now prompt the user to enter the second one. So enter the last name, the second name. And then we're going to save it. String name 2. Scan that next line. And we need to know the length. So let's call it len1, which is the name1 dot length, because we need to compare them. Name1 dot length, and then len2 name2 dot length. Then we're going to compare them using if statements. So if len1 is higher than len2, use the brackets here. So if the length, which means the number of characters in the first name, is bigger than the second one, that means the first name is bigger. So we're going to put here system out print line, and the first one, which is name1, is, and then we can see the difference. What is the difference? Is len1 minus len2. So we're going to close the quotation, and then we're going to put the variable here, which is len1 minus len2. That's the difference, because we want to see like how the first name is bigger than the second one, but by how many characters. So we're going to put len2. So is, and then the difference, like for example, Christopher and Mike. So Mike has 4 characters, and Christopher is longer by 7 characters. So we're going to put name1, Christopher is, and the difference 7 characters. So characters longer. And then we're going to put the second name, which is name2. Okay, let's close that. Now we're going to put else if, because we have 3 situations. If it's bigger, if the first one is longer, if the second one is longer, or they are the same. So here we're going to put here if len1 is less than len2. So in this case, we're going to switch them. So we're going to get the same sentence, but we're going to switch the names, because in this case, the second name is longer. So we're going to copy it and paste it, and then just switch the names. So here we're going to put name2. And here we're going to put len2 minus len1. And then here we're going to put name1. So this is going to reverse them. Switch the names. Now the last situation, else, they are the same. So we can say system out print line, name1 and name2 have the same number of characters. So let's check, make sure there is no error here. Okay, run the program. So let's start with the first situation. So let's say Christopher and then Mike. Christopher is 6 characters longer than Mike. So let's say Christopher 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 characters. That's correct. So there is 6, because 10 characters minus 4 is 6 characters longer than Mike. Okay, let's run the program again, and in this case the first one is longer, second one is longer. So let's say Ida and Jasmine. Jasmine is 3 characters longer than Ida. Now what about if they are the same? So let's say Ida and Carl. Ida and Carl have the same number. So it looks like the program is working. So let's move on to the question number 3. So write a program that prompts the user to enter an email address and displays whether it is valid. So the email is valid if it meets two requirements. It should contain at and then end with .com. So let's prompt the user to enter the email. Enter your email address. So I'm going to save it. Email. And that next line. Use an if statement to have two conditions here. First one, let's check if it contains at. So there are two ways. You can either use the index of. You can say, for example, if email that index of at. You can use single quote or double quote. So if the email index of is, how do we know if it exists or not? That means it returns a positive number, 0 or up. If it does not return 0 or up, that means it returns -1, which means not found. So you can say two things, either higher or equal than 0, or you can say different than -1, because that's the only option we have, -1. If it's not -1, that means it is a positive number. That means it is located somewhere. We don't know where, but we know it is located somewhere. So we can say if this is the case, then this is the first condition. Then I'm going to put another F inside. That means the second one also has to be met. So we're going to put email, okay, and remember the one of the method is ends with. So if we can put .com ends with. So here I cannot use index of. Why? Because .com has to be at the end, not anywhere. Because if you use index of, that means it's going to return a positive number if it is located anywhere, if it's in the middle or at the beginning. But I want it at the end. So in this case, ends with method would be the most appropriate one. So if it is, you can put equals true, or this, since this is a Boolean statement, so that means equal true. But you are free to add equals true, but it's unnecessary. That's a Boolean statement. So these two conditions are met, then you're going to put system it's invalid. So the email is valid. I'm sorry, is valid because it meets the requirements. Other than that, so for example, here I can put else the email is invalid. It meets the first requirement, but not the second requirement. But we have to add another else, because if it does not meet the first requirement, there is no point in asking the second question. So I'm going to put here else. And then we're going to just copy the statements. This means if it does not meet the first requirement, it's automatically invalid. Okay, so let's build it and then run the program and then try to come up with some names. So let's say John. Okay, I put .com. So it's invalid because the at is missing. Now let's put the at. Okay, John at, but I forgot to put that something like at. It is invalid because it does not add ends with .com. And now let's put like a valid one now. So I'm gonna put John at gmail.com. So that's a valid. So these are the solutions to the 3 questions about the string methods. So thank you for watching and see you on the next.